Hank, Bob, on your way. Cole, take your time.
All right, Jess. See you in town.
Shall we drift?
Why not?
Mr. Johnson.
Yes?
You're the express agent here, aren't you?
That's right. What about it?
I got some business to transact over at your office.
See here now, this is Sunday, and I'm on my way to church. Besides, I never open up the office on Sunday.
Well, this is one Sunday you're going to. We'll see to it you're not too late to church. Just walk along ahead of us. Open it.
Someday you men will pay for this. Every last one of you will have to pay for it.
Yeah, you might be right, Pup. But today, I guess, the express company will have to pay. Be smart, Pop. Stay there. Church will wait. There it is. You can keep it for a souvenir.
You know, you might save some of that for me. I think I'm going to need it.
Give me them bandages.
The best shirt I ever owned in my life. Never figured I'd see the day I'd have to tear it up.
At least you didn't get any bullets through it.
You know, it did look like an ambush, Jesse.
Yeah, it might have been. More likely that express agent signaled to someone. Makes me kind of glad I killed him. What time's it getting to be?
20 past 3.
Won't it be daybreak pretty soon?
Don't worry. We'll have you out of here before then. Cole, you better head for that sheep ranch in Clay County. You can start now.
All right.
Frank, you and me will ride to St. Joe.
All right.
How's that feel?
Oh, pretty good.
Now, you do what I tell you, and you'll be safe till that leg heals up.
You're the boss.
I want you to go home with Bob.
But I can't do that.
It's the only thing you can do. You better convince him. After what happened yesterday, a man running around with a bullet hole in his leg could wind up at the bottom end of a rope.
Bob, you know why I can't go home with you.
Paula?
Oh, I don't know how I could face your sister after. Well, you know about it.
Listen, Vic. That was a long time ago, and things have changed. Paul will be glad to see you.
You ready to travel?
Look, Jess, we're still short one horse anyway.
I'll hang on behind Frank's saddle. It's only to St. Joe. Come on your feet. If you can't make it as far as the horses, I won't charge you for the operation.
I'm sorry about that ambush, Jess. When you asked me to look over the town for you last Sunday, there was hardly anybody down at that end.
Nobody's blaming you, Vic. We had a little trouble, but we've lived through worse.
I know, but we had everything figured out, so foolproof. Then a bunch of people slip out of church on a nice, quiet Sunday morning and almost beat the living daylights out of us. And it makes a man stop and think.
You listen to a word of advice, Vic. A man in our business has to keep on the go. If you stop and think, you're liable to wake up and find yourself dead. Mount up, Frank. Climb it on behind. Good luck, fellas.
Shall we drift? Hello, sis. I guess you remember Vic Rodell, huh?
Hello, Paula.
Hello, Vic.
Vic hurt his leg. They're rounding up some cattle in Kansas, and he had a fall. Told me we could rest up here for a few days.
If it's all right with you.
Of course it's all right with me. Why shouldn't it be? I can't answer for Father.
I'll square with him. Where is he?
He's in town. He should be back anytime.
Okay, show Vic in the house, sis. I'll just get these horses put away.
It's bad, isn't it?
Oh, the leg's stiffened up a little, that's all. Be all right. Was I wrong in coming here?
Not as far as I'm concerned. You and Bob were always good friends.
You know what I mean.
Perhaps I do, Vic, but that was a long time ago. It's all over now. Let's leave it that way. It's this way.
I don't want to put you out, Paula.
Nonsense. You're hurt, that's all there is to it. Sit down, Vic. Let me take that boot off for you. I think you'll feel better.
All right.
I'll try to be careful.
Your father still feel the same way about me?
He hasn't changed. We'll bandage that.
A friend of mine in Kansas.
Haven't you seen a doctor?
It's not that bad, honest.
There's some coffee on the stove. I'll bring you some.
Hello, Dad.
Well, so you come home again, huh? Where have you been this time?
Kansas, working cattle.
If it's work you want, there's plenty of it right here on the farm.
Not enough money. I figured you and Sis could use a little extra cash.
Money isn't everything. A man has to think of his family.
Man's got to think of his friends, too. I brought a friend of mine home with me, Dad. Got hurt when his horse fell. I remembered you told me once, you said the door of our house is always open to anybody in need.
I'm glad you remembered something I told you.
I remembered something else you told me, too. You said, never hold a grudge against a fellow in need.
What are you getting at?
I brought Vic Rodell home with me. Look, take it easy, Dad. I told you he's been hurt.
Paula? Rodell, you've got exactly 5 minutes to get your boots on and get out of here.
Please, Father, he's been hurt.
Too bad he wasn't hurt worse. Did you tell my daughter and my son exactly how you got hurt?
I'll leave, Mr. Ford.
You bet you will.
Father.
This is home here, Paula. Not a hiding place for fugitives. That man helped Jesse James rob an express office in Kansas. They shot up the whole town.
Hold it, Dad. Where'd you get an idea like that?
Right here in Rayville, that's where I got it. The telegraph wires have been humming with it. The whole country's looking for the James brothers, Cole Younger and Victor Rodell.
Is it true?
Of course it's true. Now, you get him out of this house or I'll turn him in to Sheriff Oliver.
No, you won't, Dad. You won't turn him in. Yes, if you do, you'll have to turn me in, too.
Cut it, Bob.
I was with him. I helped him and Jesse rob the express office.
What?
He's lying, Mr. Ford. He's just trying to force you to let me stay here.
I want the truth, son.
You heard the truth. Dropped my rifle riding out of town. It's only a matter of time till they trace it to me.
How much time?
Oh, I bought the rifle brand new. All they have to do is telegraph the factory and look at the serial numbers. And they look for the dealer who sold it. And they start looking for me.
Bob, why did you do it?
Isn't this enough reason?
It's reason enough for a man like Rodell. It's no reason for you. What got into you?
Father, this is no time for a lecture. Whatever he's done, it's already done. I think it's time we all got hold of ourselves and figured out what to do.
I already told you what to do. He stays here until he's well enough to ride.
And what do you plan on doing?
Well, I don't know. It's a cinch I can't stay here. Besides, there's 2 horses out in the barn that can be identified. Figured I'd ride south, lose the 2 horses, and bring back 2 fresh ones. Be back in about 2 weeks.
Well, what about Vic? If they come here looking for you, they'll find him.
Well, that's where you and Dad come in. You'll have to keep him hid out. Look, I'll help him into bed, Sis. You rustle me up something to eat, and I'll be on my way. Dad, I'm sorry.
Rodell, I threw you out of this house once before. Can't you remember that?
Yes, I remember, Mr. Ford, and I remember why. I wanted to marry her daughter. She wanted to marry me, but you wanted no part of it.
I wanted her to marry a man who'd make a home for her. Not a shiftless, no-good cowboy. I wanted her
All right, take it easy, Dad.
Paula's a widow now. She's got enough trouble without you trying to come back into her life.
Vic is not trying to come back into anybody's life. I brought him here myself.
I've worked hard to make this a good home. But you and your kind make it impossible.
I better not stay, Bob.
Don't forget it. Don't worry about the old man. He's always like that. Should have been a preacher. That's Paula's husband.
I kind of thought it was him.
Come in.
Well, I see you ate everything.
Yes, it was real good, Paula. He looks like he was a fine man.
He was.
You were right in marrying him. It never would have worked out for us.
I waited a long time, Vic. When you didn't write and you didn't come back, I figured you didn't care.
Oh, I cared, all right. More than anything in the world.
Then why did you go away?
I had nothing to offer you. Your father was right in trying to break us up.
Did he send you away?
I was just another penniless drifter left over from the war. No money, no prospects of any kind. I wanted to make good, then come back. And I found out about him.
Father introduced us. David was a cashier at the Rayville Bank, and he was everything Father wanted in a son-in-law. Good, solid, reliable.
Paula, how did he die? Or would you rather not talk about it?
He was killed when some men tried to hold up the bank. He was alone at the time, and I think he must have reached for a gun he always kept under the counter. That's when the leader of the bandits shot him.
Well, who was this bandit? Did they ever catch him?
No, they never caught him, but they will. It was Jesse James.
Morning, Paula.
Oh, Vic. Well, what are you doing out here? This is too far for you to walk on that leg.
Paula, there's something I want to ask you. Something I should have asked you years ago, when I didn't have so much reason to be afraid of your answer.
Are you afraid now?
Well, I'd like to explain a few things. To begin with, I've seen a lot of men like Jesse James and the way they have to live. Jesse's got a wife and some swell kids, but it's still no kind of a life for any of them.
Well, of course it isn't.
His wife has to rent a house somewhere under an assumed name. Sometimes they use Howard. The kids have to go to school under the name of Howard. Then Jesse's afraid the Pinkertons will find out and the whole thing starts all over again. I'd never ask a wife of mine to live that way.
Mrs. James must be very much in love.
Yes, I know, but even so, it's no kind of a life for a woman.
Vic, what are you getting at?
Just this. Would it make any difference to you, I mean to us, if I was a free man? If I wasn't wanted by the law anymore?
Of course it would, but how?
Well, I've been thinking of turning myself in.
Oh, no, Vic. You don't realize how the people in this county feel about any member of the James gang. Why, not even the sheriff could keep them
Keep them hanging me from a tree? I know that, Paula. But I wasn't thinking of turning myself in to Sheriff Oliver.
Well, then to who?
To the governor of the state, to Governor Crittenden himself. He's already promised a fair trial. legal leniency to any of us that surrenders. I might have to serve a year. Would you wait for me, Paula?
When would you go to the governor?
Well, as soon as your brother comes back with the horses. He ought to show up any time now. As a matter of fact, he was due here yesterday.
Sheriff Oliver?
That's me.
I'm with the Pinkerton Detective Agency. Name's Clyde O'Connell.
Glad to know you, O'Connell. What can I do for you?
Railroad Express Company's got us working on that robbery. The one that the James gang pulled in Kansas, week before last. During the getaway, one of them dropped his rifle. It was sold by a hardware store here in Rayville. Now, the store wrote us that they sold this rifle to a local young man by the name of Bob Ford. Where can I find him?
I hate to throw cold water on your lead, but the only Bob Ford I know wouldn't be mixed up with the James gang.
Well, why not?
We had a bank robbery here about 4 years ago. Jesse James and the Youngers. They killed a cashier, a man by the name of Dave Collins. He was married to Bob Ford's sister. So you can see the James gang aren't very popular around here, least of all with the Ford family.
Well, sometimes family ties get broken, Sheriff. Once I arrested the guy that shot his own brother. Where can I find Bob Ford?
Well, the last I heard of him, he was somewhere in Kansas.
Yeah, that's the last I heard of him, too.
Ford family lived just down the road a little ways. I'll saddle up.
Father, may we please speak to you for a moment?
Go ahead.
Mr. Ford, I'd like to explain how I happened to get mixed up on the wrong side of the law.
There's no excuse for a life of crime.
Please listen to him, Father.
I'm listening.
Well, to begin with, there was a war.
Too many people try to blame too many things on the war.
Father, you said you'd listen.
All right.
I joined Quantrill's Raiders for the same reason Jesse James did. The same reason his brother Frank and a lot of others. We were a guerrilla outfit, sure. But we were fighting for the Confederacy. We robbed, burned towns, ambushed federal troops. It was all part of the war.
And after the war, you went right on robbing and burning towns and ambushing innocent people.
That isn't true. Vic didn't.
After the war, I worked cattle for a while, trying to make enough money to marry Paula. Money was pretty hard to come by, especially for a Southern soldier.
I know what you're trying to tell me, Rodell, but save your breath. You went back with Jesse James.
Because you made her marry somebody else.
She married a good man, not a penniless ex-guerrilla. And the way you turned out, I know I did the right thing. But let's get this clear right here, Paula. If I was against you marrying him before, it's a cinch I'm against you marrying him now.
Father, wait a minute. Please listen.
I'll listen to no more of this. In fact, I've a good mind to report him to Sheriff Oliver the minute I get to town.
You'd better not. Bob's apt to be riding in here any minute.
Go on. Get in.
Maybe he's right.
He wasn't right before, and he isn't right now. You're going to ride to the governor just like you planned. If it doesn't work, I'm going to marry you anyway.
Howdy, Clay. How's everything at the farm?
Fine, Sheriff.
Does your boy happen to be home?
Bob? No, he's not, Steve.
Where is he?
Kentucky.
Whereabouts in Kentucky?
Whereabouts? Well, the last letter we got from him come from a place called Russellville.
I'll see you in town, Clay. We're going to turn back pretty quick. Drop into my office. I'd like to have a talk with you.
Sure.
Sheriff Oliver. Go inside.
You look mighty busy there, Paula.
It's like this every Monday.
That's my wife's complaint. Paula, this is Mr. O'Connell. He came all the way from Chicago to see your brother.
Oh, but he's not home. Last we heard from him, he was in Kansas City.
Kansas City? Are you sure?
That's where his last letter came from.
Paula, you won't mind if we have a look around the place?
I just told you. Bob's not here.
Well, in that case, you won't mind if we have a look inside.
Sheriff, I really wish you wouldn't go inside. So untidy.
We don't mind. We'll only take a minute.
But why?
Your father told us the last time he heard from Bob, he was in Kentucky, not Kansas. I have a feeling he's still around someplace, and we'd like to talk to him.
Sheriff, believe me, Bob hasn't been near this farm for over a week.
Who's that?
It looks like Bob.
Oh, no. No, it couldn't be.
Get the horses out of sight. Take them in the barn, the side door. Paula, you come with me. That's your brother. I don't want you scaring him off. No need for worry, Paula, unless your brother causes trouble.
Something scared him off.
Paula, get my gun while I saddle his horse. Maybe I can help Bob.
No, Vic, you're not going out there.
Well, I can't just leave him on his own.
Your best chance and Bob's is to surrender yourself to Governor Crittenden. Oh, you know that, Vic. You said so yourself.
Maybe I could help him better that way. You win, Paula. I'll go to Jeff City.
Leave it right where it is.
Horse sure hard to figure, Sheriff. Never think an old nag like yours will keep up with a Kentucky thoroughbred.
All right, Bob. Come on.
Bob Ford. They picked up Bob Ford.
So they finally caught up with you.
Inside, Bob. Step aside, Wheeler.
Sure, why not? There's plenty of time yet. You know what I think? I think there's a lot of folks around here that don't take kindly to a man who rode with Jesse James.
Bob.
I'm sorry, Dad. I guess I should have listened to you a long time ago.
I'll do everything I can to see that you get a just trial, son.
You better hope and pray that Bob's case comes to trial, Mr. Ford.
But my son never rode with Jesse James before. That was the first time. And he's never killed anyone.
Go out and disperse that crowd. Tell them to go on about their business, and if you can, find out who threw this.
It'll take me several days to get to Jeff City. Figure that no news is good news. If you don't hear from me by then, you'll know I got to the governor.
Vic, you're doing the right thing. I know you are.
Honey, it's going to turn out all right.
Whoa. Whoa there. They caught Bob. Vic, I want to show you something. Somebody hurled a rock through the sheriff's front window. That note was wrapped around it.
What's it say?
Oh, it doesn't mean a thing, probably. Just some crank.
Why don't you tell her the truth? They plan to hang Bob, Paula, without a trial. They're going to take him out of that jail and hang him in the street.
How much time do you think he has?
Oh, who knows? Who knows when a mob gets so steamed up that they'll take the law into their own hands?
They can't. Sheriff Oliver won't let them.
When the mob storms that tin can jail, Sheriff Oliver and that Pinkerton man won't be able to stop them. Vic, the sheriff let me alone with Bob in his cell. Bob says that you know how to get in touch with Jesse James. He says that Jesse knows where to find maybe one or two of the others. Frank and Cole Younger. He says if you're lucky, you'll all get him out of the jail before that mob does.
Jesse's over in St. Joe. The others scattered far and wide.
Do you realize what you're asking Vic to do?
I'm asking him to save my son's life. Is that too much to ask?
Vic wants to surrender himself to the governor. What chance will he have for clemency if he helps Jesse James break a prisoner out of jail?
You want to see your brother hanging from a tree in Rayville?
I don't want to see Vic hung either.
Try and put yourself in my shoes, Rodell. For years now, you and I have been on the opposite sides of the fence. I have been against anything you and your kind stand for. I've even thrown you out of my house. But now I gotta ask your help. It sure ain't easy.
But you still ask. I won't let him go.
A lot of things aren't easy, Paula. I remember one time during the war, we had to burn down a farmhouse outside Missouri City. It was my cousin's house. They were hiding Union troops, all right, but it still didn't make it any easier.
Rodell, if you'll save my boy, I promise to make it up to you. I'll even go to the governor myself. I'll tell him anything you do here in Rayville is only to prevent an illegal hanging. You can go with me to the governor, Paula. We'll try to get clemency for Bob, too. Will you shake on it?
I can't write to you. They might want your mail. You'll have to write to me.
But Vic, where? What name?
Oh, Victor, no, Rod Victor. General delivery in Jeff City.
Something came up, honey. I have to go with Vic.
Well, I was just fixing you both some breakfast.
We won't have time, dear.
Thanks as the same, Mrs. James. I mean, Mrs. Howard.
Will you be gone long?
A few days, I guess.
But the bazaar at the church tonight. You told the minister you'd be there to help out.
Well, tell him I'm sorry. I had to leave town on business. And tell the children I'll be back as soon as I can. I'll pick up Frank first, then Cole Younger.
Goodbye, Mrs. Howard.
We'll split up and ride into town separately. If Bob's still okay, we'll wait it out.
Mighty quiet.
Too quiet. Too many men standing around doing nothing.
Good morning. This horse has a loose hind shoe. Want to check it?
Come any closer, Wheeler. The rest of you men disperse quietly and go on home.
And that's a fact, Sheriff. You know why we're here. It'll be a lot easier for you if you don't interfere.
You listen to me.
Sure. We'll listen to you. Won't we, men? Go ahead. Go on, Sheriff. Speak your piece. We got lots of time.
It's my job to protect this prisoner, and I aim to do it. Maybe he should be hung. But if he is, it's going to be a legal hanging. It's my sworn duty as sheriff of this county.
All right.
All right, Sheriff, you've made your speech, you've done your duty. Now, suppose you take a nice little walk out of town and take the Pinkerton man along with you.
Bob Ford is my prisoner, and I ain't leaving.
Bring her over. Throw me a rope, somebody.
The following named fugitives are now fleeing east from Rayville. Jesse James, Frank James, Cole Younger, Bob Ford, and Vic Rodell. Notify all...
Let me send this much, please.
All right.
You know, I was thinking. The day we picked up Bob Ford, he had that extra horse with him.
Well, we've been through that. James' gang always works with stolen horses. They never pick up one where they can pick up two. Well, Bob could have been taking that horse to any member of the gang, anywhere. The fact that he was headed for his home don't necessarily mean he planned to meet anybody at the farm. Even if he did, they wouldn't show up now.
I didn't mean it that way. I figured maybe he was going to take a ride somewhere with his sister.
Why, his sister?
A cousin of mine works over at the railroad station. He said that Paula Collins drove into town early this morning and bought a ticket on tonight's train for Jeff City.
Well, you think she might be on the way to meet her brother, Bob?
I'm guessing in the dark. That's all any of us can do. But if you've got a Pinkerton man in Jeff City, he could follow her from the station and see who she meets.
I'll follow her myself. Tell your cousin to get me a ticket on the same train.
I'll take care of it.
Please understand that I admire and respect your reason for coming here, Mrs. Collins. You've made a simple, honest plea for your brother and for the man you love. However, you must understand my position, too. How would it look to the people of this state if their governor sponsored easy freedom for the Jesse James gang?
I'm only asking for leniency in the case of my brother and Vic Rodell. Vic didn't help Bob escape from that Rayville jail. He helped him escape from a lynch mob that had already taken him out of the jail.
Who sent you here, your brother or Rodell?
Neither. Until what happened in Rayville, Vic thought you might offer leniency if he surrendered, but now he can't be sure.
What made him think I might offer leniency?
Well, for one thing, the newspapers quoted you as saying that you would.
The newspapers were quoting me on the recent outlaw amnesty bill. I said I'd support that bill if and only if it became a law of the state.
And it's already passed the legislature.
Well, in spite of that, Mrs. Collins, the outlaw amnesty bill is nothing but a scrap of paper. The resolution was declared out of order by the presiding officer of the legislature.
Oh, that can't be true.
It's quite true. I suggest you read today's newspaper.
See. Well, I want to thank you, Governor, for giving me your time.
One moment, Mrs. Collins. There is one way I might be able to help your brother, or Rodell, or both. But I'll expect them to do something in return.
Of course. They do anything you say.
As outlaws, both Rodell and Bob Ford seem to be borderline cases. Your brother's record shows he only rode with James that one time in Muncie. He fired a few wild shots, but he didn't kill anybody.
And Vic?
Well, Rodell has a long record with the James gang, but he hasn't killed anyone since he fought in the war.
That's true, sir.
Actually, the state wants the ringleaders, particularly Jesse James. We have a problem, Mrs. Collins. Jesse James is becoming a sort of hero to a lot of young men and boys all across the nation. They've gotten the idea he's some sort of Robin Hood. Until he's shown to be what he is, a bloodthirsty killer. A lot of these boys might be influenced to follow in his footsteps. He's got to be captured or killed. So I'll make you a bargain. If Vic Rodell or Bob Ford can bring in Jesse James himself, I'll promise leniency both for your brother and Rodell. And I'll do that, whether they bring in Jesse dead or alive.
Sir, you're asking the impossible. The law itself has failed to bring in Jesse James.
Young lady, the fact the law has failed to bring in Jesse is the reason, and the only reason, I'm willing to bargain with two outlaws.
You don't realize what you're asking. Half the men in the country would like to bring in Jesse, if for no other reason than the reward on his head.
Your two men have better reason and better opportunity. They're on the inside.
I remember reading about another man on the inside. I believe his name was John Witcher. He tried to shoot Jesse in the back. Jesse killed him before he fired a single shot.
I'm quite aware of the hazards, Mrs. Collins. Good day, ma'am.
Who is it?
Paula. I got your letter, Vic. I was afraid maybe you didn't get mine.
Oh, I got it, all right. I've been waiting for you ever since.
Have you seen today's newspapers?
Yeah, I saw them. They threw the amnesty bill right in the ash can. Did you see the governor anyway?
Oh, of course. Vic, I thought I could do better by myself without Father along. I wish I'd stayed home and sent Father.
Forget it. If the governor said no to you, he'd say it to your father, too.
Well, he didn't exactly say no, Vic. He wants to make a bargain.
Bargain?
He wants Jesse James, dead or alive.
Oh, I see. Paula, I've known Jesse James since we were kids in Clay County. We grew up together, fought in the war together. He saved my life once in Muncie, just like he saved your brothers in Rayville.
I know, Vic, but you've got to do something. You just can't go back with Jesse.
No, I can promise you that. I won't go back with Jesse.
Where will you go?
Hot Springs, Arkansas. I'll hide out till we see what happens to that amnesty bill. It got blocked this time. But the men who voted for it will bring it up again at the next session. They had it won on votes. Next time, they'll get it through. You'll wait for me, won't you, Paula?
Rodell, don't try it. Tell Mrs. Collins she better go.
Do what he says, Paula.
But Vic...
Go on, Paula.
Now, just unbuckle your gun belt. Let it drop.
All right.
It's Vic Rodell.
Hello, Jesse. How are you, Frank?
Hi.
We're just talking about you, Vic.
Wondered what'd become of you.
Oh, I had a little brush with the law.
Seen anything of Bob Ford? We wondered what become of him, too.
No, I haven't seen Bob since we all split up after Rayville.
Pull up a chair. You got here just in time. Our next job is in Northfield, Minnesota, and we need every man we can get.
That's what I came to see about.
You could use a job, huh, Vic?
No, I figure I ought to tell you. I'm pulling out.
Pulling out? How do you mean that?
Well, you might call it a pretty wild gamble. I figure to hide out for a year. I'm putting all my chips on that amnesty bill. Betting it'll pass at the next session of the Missouri legislature.
And if it passes, you figure on turning yourself in, huh?
That's the general idea, yeah.
You mind telling us why?
Oh, personal reasons.
Personal? Well, we've
Frank, when a man says personal reasons and then clams up on his friends, it usually means there's a woman around someplace. That pretty close to right, Vic?
Oh, pretty close, yeah.
You figure on turning just yourself in? Or maybe you figure on doing a little talking?
Such as what?
Such as who pulled the trigger on a few killings here and there.
If I figured out anything like that, I'd have more sense than to come here, wouldn't I?
Ah, don't mind him, Vic. Trouble with Frank is he doesn't trust anybody. It's his one fault.
You so sure it's a fault?
Well, as long as you made up your mind, there's no use you're hanging around here.
No, I suppose not.
Good luck, and give my best regards to Mrs. Paula Collins.
Bye, Frank.
Glad you came around to tell me, Vic.
Why wouldn't I?
Maybe you can see something in that fella. Me, I never trust a quitter.
I ain't trusting him. But unless that amnesty bill passes, he's no danger to us. Now, let's see. Riding into town from the west, we cross the wooden bridge into Division Street.
Mrs. Collins, you asked me to give your brother a temporary and secret amnesty so he could come to this office without danger of arrest. I have granted that request because I think I know the reason why.
Thank you, sir.
The last time you were here, it wasn't just your brother you wanted to help, but also Vic Rodell.
I still want to help him. Vic hasn't ridden with Jesse James since that time in Rayville.
Sir, I haven't ridden with Jesse James either, not since that escape. You have my word.
I also have the records. Why did Rodell refuse my offer?
Well, because, you see, he's known Jesse James all his life. Vic just couldn't do it.
Sir, what difference does it make who brings Jesse in, just as long as he's brought in?
Bob has come here to offer his services to law and order.
I gather he also seeks freedom for himself and Vic Rodell.
Yes.
You picked yourself a man-sized job. You really think you can bring in Jesse, dead or alive?
Oh, not dead, sir. Bob intends to bring him in a prisoner to stand trial.
Don't worry about it, sis. I'll bring him in without a scratch.
Young man, I hope your ability is half as great as your confidence. Do you mind telling me just how you plan to accomplish this arrest?
Well, sure, I'll tell you. Oh, you might as well go home, sis. The rest of this job's up to me.
Good day, Mrs. Collins.
Good day.
Just one question, Governor. If I'm alone when I bring Jesse in, I don't have to split this reward with anybody, do I?
You'll get the full reward. Now, tell me how you expect to bring him here alive.
I don't.
But you just now said you were going
What I just said was for the benefit of my sister. I think she'll see the whole thing a little differently after the shooting's over.
Do you mind telling me just when you plan to do this?
Well, I don't know where Jesse is right now, sir. But I know exactly where I'll find him around Christmas. I'll give you Jesse James for a Christmas present.
Thanks, E.
It's looking mighty pretty, Jess.
See who that is.
Why, Bob Ford.
Morning, Mrs. James.
Do come in.
Hi, Jesse.
Hello, Bob. Glad you dropped in. Caught me playing Santa Claus.
Sit down, Bob, and get you a cup of coffee.
Z, speaking of Santa Claus, how'd it be if I borrowed that suit from the church party? Wear it when we have the presents tomorrow. Bet with all those white whiskers on my face, my own children wouldn't recognize me. What do you think, Z?
Well, it's a fine idea. Except for one thing. You promised the children you'd be here yourself this Christmas. How can you be Papa and Santa Claus at the same time?
Well, I guess she settled that for me. Bob, what have you been doing with yourself? Seen anything of Vic Rodell?
Vic? No, I haven't seen him since we all rode out of Rayville. My sister hasn't heard from him either.
Well, maybe it's just as good. Vic has big trouble. He thinks too much. In our business, a man should never stop and think. Once you take time to think, you're liable to wake up and find yourself dead.
Jesse!
Vic,
Paula, I've got to talk to you. Have you seen these papers?
I had nothing to do with it. Oh, you've got to believe that. You must believe it.
It says here that Bob Ford's sister made a deal with the governor.
Not that kind of a deal. Oh, you can't possibly believe I'd send my own brother out to kill a man.
But it says that Bob Ford's sister took him to the governor.
I did, but it wasn't in the bargain for Bob to shoot Jesse. I swear it wasn't. I knew how you felt about Jesse, James. You don't think I'd gamble with our future.
You gambled and you lost. Our future's dead, Paula. For that matter, I'll soon be dead myself. So will your brother.
Vic, what do you mean by that?
The only reason your brother and I won our freedom is because he killed Jesse James. Jesse's got friends. Don't you think they can read? I'm more hunted now than I ever was. They'll all be gunning for me now, thanks to you.
Vic, please.
Glad I happened to run into you. Is Bob at the farm?
He wasn't there when I left.
Oh, he got a wire saying that he'd be home today. I thought maybe you two rode home together.
Bob and I don't ride anywhere together. Not anymore. I gotta be on my way, Mr. Ford.
Wait, Vic. It isn't safe for you to be on the roads in broad daylight. I just come from Rayville. The sheriff says that somebody saw Frank James, Cole Younger, and another man riding across the county line last night. The sheriff thinks they might be looking for Bob, or maybe even you. You'll be along pretty soon in case they try to get Bob at the farm.
Well, I'll see you.
Now, wait. There's something else I've got to say. It's about what happened to Jesse. I hope you understand Paula and I had nothing to do with it.
Then you must be mighty proud of your son, Mr. Ford.
No, I'm not proud of him. But whatever he did, he's still my son. And I'll stand by him. And I don't...
Take it easy, Rodell. I didn't come here alone.
Hello, Rodell.
The old man is free to go, but not you. You're gonna stay here and get it the way Jesse got it. Right in the back.
You men are making a grave mistake. Rodell had nothing to do with what happened to Jesse. I ought to know. I'm Bob Ford's father.
I'd keep that under my hat if I was you. You might wind up with a slug yourself. Tell the old man to get out of here while he still can.
Do what he says, Mr. Ford.
Go on. Quick. Got back just in time, son. Paula, fetch my gun. It's hanging behind the kitchen door. And bring that box of shells, too.
Well, what's happened?
Frank James and the younger just jumped Vic. I don't know how long he can hold out. Hurry, Paula.
Where'd they jump him?
Near Haskell Rocks, just a few minutes ago.
All right, tell Paul I'll be back in a couple of days.
Wait. You're not running out.
Well, it's a cinch I can't stay here. If they finish off Rodell, they'll be looking for me.
Well, you got Vic into this mess. Are you going to run out on him? At a time like this?
What do you expect me to do, chase up that road and get my head shot off?
Why, you coward. You dirty little coward. When you leave this house, you're leaving for good. Don't you ever come back. Go on.
Are you going to let your father go back there alone?
You want to see me get killed, too?
Rodell pinned down behind that rock. I'll work around the side of the hill and get him from there.
Thanks, son. This kind of makes up for, well, for a lot of things.
Paula. Paula, what's the for? Paula!
It's all right, Vic. The doctor just left.
He says you're going to be okay. All you need is rest.
Yes, but I can't stay here. You realize that.
Why not?
Well, Frank James, Cole Younger, they'll come here looking for me.
Nothing to be afraid of now, son. Cole Younger's dead. Frank James surrendered himself. And the governor lived up to his promise. He sent me a telegram. Bob is at the Capitol now to pick up his pardon. And yours.
You're safe now, Vic.
Well, there's no reason for me to hide out anymore, is there?
No reason.
And, there's no reason for you to have this anymore, either.